In less than 5 years, a prosperous village lost every successful merchant, every skilled craftsman, every innovative trader. They did not leave because of drought. They did not flee from war. They left by a choice. When the village looked around to understand what had gone wrong, the workshops were empty, the markets were quiet, and the people who knew how to create opportunity were gone. This is the story of how a village drove away its entrepreneurs and discovered too late who actually paid the price. The village of Tambala sat where two rivers met. That alone made it valuable. Merchants from the coast brought salt, shells, and foreign goods. Traders from the interior brought grain and livestock. Tambala's own artisans, potas, weavers, metalworkers, toolmakers, produced goods traded across 5 territories. The village was not equal. Some families were wealthier than others. Merchant families lived in larger compounds. Successful craftsmen employed apprentices. Innovative traders controlled valuable routes. But the village prospered. Even the poorest families in Tambala lived better than average families in neighboring villages. Why? Because wealth created work. Merchants created jobs. Workshops created demand for labor. Trade created markets for surplus production. A poor farmer could sell small harvests. A laborer could find steady work. An apprentice could learn valuable skills. The system was imperfect, but it worked. And that distinction mattered. Resentment grew slowly. It was visible. Merchants lived better than laborers. Craftsmen accumulated wealth, while workers earned daily wages. Traders controlled access to markets. The inequality felt unfair. Village elders began to organize public gatherings. They counted assets. They measured disparities. They calculated that 10 families controlled nearly 40% of Tambala's tradable wealth. They framed the problem morally. The wealthy, they argued, were exploiting labor, controlling prices, manipulating access. The solutions sounded righteous. Tax the wealthy heavily. Mandate fair wages. Control prices on essential goods. Restrict business expansion. Make Tambala equal. In a public assembly of 300 families, the council voted an 80% tax on merchant profits, mandatory minimum wages, price controls on essentials, council approval for expansion. The vote passed overwhelmingly. Justice, the village believed, had finally arrived. The first to leave was Kofi, a mobile merchant. He ran numbers quietly. Under the new laws, he would keep only a fraction of his profits. A neighboring village, Msichu, offered no such restrictions. He requested an exemption. The council refused. Equality required consistency. Kofi left within a month. With him went his workers, his suppliers, and his trade connections. Tambala gained 80% of nothing. Then Aisha, a master potter, recalculated. The new wage laws made her apprenticeship model impossible. She could train fewer people, or she could leave. She left. Then a metal worker. Then a grain trader. Each departure followed the same logic. The policies did not redistribute wealth. They relocated activity. Within 2 years, over 30 productive families had left. Not randomly. These were the skilled, the connected, the mobile. Their absence spread outward. Workers lost jobs. Suppliers lost customers. Farmers lost access to distant markets. The council had expected tax revenue. There was no one left to tax. They had mandated wages. There were no jobs left to protect. They had controlled prices. There were no goods left to regulate. Emergency meetings followed. Some demanded harsher enforcement. Others begged for reversal. But the damage was already done. The entrepreneurs had rebuilt elsewhere. Tambala's reputation spread faster than its apologies. 3 years later, Tambala was more equal than ever. Everyone was poor. Not because the wealthy had grown richer, but because the capable had left. Those who remained were those without options. The few remaining businesses shrank into informality. Profits were hidden. Barter replaced markets. The black economy grew. Meanwhile, MC2 thrived. Tambala's former merchants expanded. Apprentices trained. New markets opened. The wealth Tambala tried to seize did not disappear. It moved. In the 4th year, the council sent delegations. They offered concessions, reduced taxes, exemptions. Kofi refused. I left because the rules were unpredictable, he said. Why would I risk returning? Aisha was blunt. You punished success and called it justice, Others agreed. Tambala had sent a message once. No one trusted it to change permanently. Entrepreneurs, like water, flow where they are welcomed. They do not return to places that punish them. Tambala's mistake was not caring about the poor. It was misunderstanding how prosperity is created. High taxes do not redistribute wealth, they redirect activity. Wage mandates do not protect workers. They remove jobs. Price controls do not make goods affordable. They make goods scarce. The poor depend more than anyone on a thriving economy. When those who create opportunity leave, the poor inherit absence, not wealth. The pattern repeats everywhere. Cities lose tax bases. States lose businesses. Countries lose talent. The names change. The rhetoric changes. The outcome does not. The question is not whether inequality exists. It always does. The question is whether inequality comes from shared growth or shared decline. Tambala chose the latter. The village that killed its entrepreneurs learned a hard truth. You cannot have jobs without employers. You cannot have opportunity without the successful. And you cannot have prosperity without the freedom to prosper. Wealth can be taxed away. It can also walk away. And when it walks, poverty stays.